A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism one letter at a time.
Booyah.
So in the Booyah, do you remember, did you listen to Booyah Tribe?
Yeah.
Back in the 90s?
No. Yeah, no. I just know another party murdered.
That's all that I know.
No,
'Cause they
you
did
know
that
what,
song with
that-
Faith No More.
Was that Booyah?
That was
Or
Booyah Tribe.
House of Pain.
House
No,
Pain
that
was
was
on that.
Booyah.
It was the Judgment Night soundtrack.
Yeah.
I had that.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Looking back, it was not a great purchase. I mean, I appreciate it for the time, but
The De La song and Teenage Fan Club, that's the only
Was
one I
that
really
good?
liked. Yeah.
You
But
know.
Booyah stood for something too. It was an acronym, and I don't know what it was for.
Booyah. I don't know.
And we're going to do this straight Gen X style, and we're not going to look it up on our phones. We're just going to try to
I'm just gonna
figure it
wander
out.
around until I go
Right.
into the Sam Goody at the mall.
Right. You're like, yo, was that Macy Gray in Training Day?
Mm-hmm.
This is going to turn into a 6-month fucking argument.
Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of the show, Jerry, I usually like to talk about our sponsors, make sure
Sure.
everybody knows. But I think in lieu of that, I just wanted to kind of thank everybody who's been a patron of ours on Patreon, who has checked out our other podcasts, who has, I know this is starting to sound like a ad already, but, I just wanted to say I really appreciate everybody's support. We get together once a week and we do this for ourselves as much as for everybody else. You know?
Absolutely.
This show started as just Jerry and I getting on FaceTime and spending an hour just talking about sobriety and reading from our particular literature, and
The Book of Mormon.
yes. No, we are both part of the Secret Club, and I'm sure if you know what we're talking about if you listened to the show before. And yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you to everybody out there who listens, who reaches out to us on Instagram, who sends us emails. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
It's something, we would probably do anyway, but it makes it even more fulfilling, right? Like to know that people,
yeah.
because sometimes I get and I'm like, oh, we got to do this thing and I got to record
Right.
this and then I got to edit it together and I got to do this and it's like instead of having, I get to, and not everybody gets to, and I feel very grateful. So thank you everybody who's listening.
Absolutely.
And please reach out if you have any questions. We'd love to
Yeah.
hear from you.
Yeah. Yo, that tank top you're wearing, does it have a pocket?
It does. I was gonna say I wish
Yeah.
it did. I just bought it, so
What do you need a pocket on a tank top? Is this where your smokes go? Or?
probably. I mean, if you're wearing a tank top that's like a styling printed tank top with a pocket, I mean, of course,
yeah.
this is the kind of thing that people who smoke in the summertime wear, right?
Right, exactly. I was sitting on the stoop, just chaining it, and it's got pineapples on it.
Yes. So
Yeah.
yes,
This shit is fucking festive, dude.
I know.
It is mad festive. Yeah.
Well, there were some there. There were some that were really plain, and there were others that were like red and blue striped. And I don't know that I really do well in red, so it doesn't really feel like it doesn't call to me, And
Right.
so I needed something for the summertime, and it's like 100 degrees here, and so I bought one. I bought this one that's an extra large, and I got another one that's a large because I'm planning
shit.
on fitting into it by the end of the summer, right? Not the same style,
You will.
but different color. But I just saw this and I was like, pineapples. I like pineapples.
Yeah, they're good.
And I didn't realize the pocket. Maybe I could that's where I put my iPod Nano.
Nano. You got the iPad Nano with the dope fucking mix with cake and
Those Taco Bell Jock Jams.
yeah, you got cake on it and soul caffeine and
So when this was when we lived in Seattle together, Jerry and I, and there was I swear we're gonna get to the sobriety part of the podcast here very soon, but
yeah.
I just remember he said cake, and there was a music reviewer, and Cake's like latest album, I don't know if it was Comfort Eagle or whatever it was, or the one after that, or was there one after that? I don't remember.
Yeah, there was, but I can't remember.
And the reviewer was, I don't remember their name, but said that Cake described them as Taco Bell jock jams.
Man,
which
that like wounded
really
me. I was wounded. I fucking love Cake, dude. It, like, pissed me off.
And I liked Cake, but I didn't love Cake. And Jerry loved Cake. And
Yeah,
so for the
I still
longest time, yeah, I mean, that's fine. He was very upset by this review.
How dare you? I think I even got drunk and like wrote him, emailed him some shit, and I'm like, you're a fucking idiot, dude. I can't remember his name now. Yeah.
Would you say you wouldn't say that was accurate review of Cake? They're not. I mean, I got what he was saying. Like they're kind of.
I think they were on a Taco Bell Jock Jam CD because it was like on CDs they released the Jock Jams.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was that song "The Distance" because that's supposed to get you, if you're in your 40s now. When you were in your 20s, it's supposed to get you pumped up, dude.
Going the distance when the
to
ball
go
game's
the
going
distance. Yeah, or do whatever, I guess. But I don't know, man. I have an affinity for dudes who just talk sing. I love it. You just talk and sing. But yeah, damn. How many times am I gonna bump this mic? Sorry.
Don't bump the mic. Don't bump the table.
Not to. Bump the table.
And that's a reference to House Party.
House
Martin
Party.
Lawrence.
We're doing it today. You know what? Fuck this sobriety podcast. It should be just an hour of us making references from the late 80s.
And then
90s.
Describing where they came from to people
Yeah,
who...
like people who are just like, man, can you just get to the sobriety part? We don't care about your inside jokes. And your pineapple shirt. Just John loves pineapples so much he has a shirt with a pineapple on it.
I do.
Like, you're like, I support pineapples.
I do support... You know, I should go buy a pineapple after this. Anyhow.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah.
So... I wanted to pose the question today. Today's letter is W, and I was thinking of all these different words and, you know, trying to come up with some sort of... I always try to come up with a topic or a theme or something that we can talk about, and I was like, well, there's lots of questions we could ask. So my question today, and then I posed it to Jerry, and I said, what's the point of sobriety? Yeah. And I was thinking about this all day today, and it ultimately becomes, for me, what's the point of life? What is the meaning of life? And so that's a huge question, because
right.
In me getting sober, I feel like what's the point of sobriety is a question that often comes up in a very sort of from a very dark place in early recovery, even, you know, before you get recovered and you're thinking about getting sober. Like, well, what's the fucking point? You know, shit sucks anyway, and I'm miserable, and I'm unhappy, and I hate my job, and I'm overweight, and my feet hurt, and, you know, all this, I got bills, and so I might as well just get fucked up, because what's the point? And I told the story about the old guy who went to like he went to some halfway house for juveniles, and the kid was like, the dude's like 66, and he's like, you're already almost dead, what's the point of getting sober anyway? You know, you might as well just drink. And when I think about what's the point, when I got sober, there was no specific catalyst. There was nobody in my life necessarily. I mean, I did a lot of destruction, for sure, but there was nobody who said you need to get sober, or there was no
ultimatum.
There was no ultimatum. Yeah, there was no tipping point. There was nothing that said, you know, I was not before a judge. I was not behind bars. I was not, you know, I did not hurt anybody physically. And it was just sort of this vague thing. And I was like, well, what's the point of sobriety? And looking back on that, originally the point was, I just don't want to feel in pain anymore. And the pain that I knew, like I could tell the future, right? In the fact that it was going to hurt tomorrow. And I knew what my morning looked like. I knew what my early afternoon looked like. Lots of laying in bed, sometimes drinking a couple of beers, drinking a lot of water, taking a hot shower, having, you know, these sort of panic attacks and trying to control them, and then going to work, working behind the bar, trying to maintain like a little bit of a buzz without my manager knowing, or when they installed cameras. I think this is before they installed those after I quit. But so it was just this whole, like, I just saw this awful, vicious cycle. And what's the point of sobriety in that moment for me was really, I just didn't want to feel bad anymore. And
Yeah.
I, that, that was it. I just had to figure out. And again, I didn't want to do it forever. I just wanted to not feel bad the next day or the next day or the next day. And, I know that even in early sobriety, I would do these things, like I would go to my meetings, sometimes just my meeting the once a week, and I wouldn't drink, and I would come straight home from work, and I wouldn't stop by the liquor store, and I would do all these other things. And it was difficult, and it was challenging, and it hurt in a different way, like it hurt. It was just painful because now I had failed at something. And I mean, I'd been failing at a lot of things, right, if you look at it that way, but it was just this sort of like, what's the point of all of this? I don't know. And I don't know that I have an answer. I have a better answer today, but at that time in early sobriety, the point was just to stave off the pain a little bit, because I really had no idea what to do next. I had no mentor. I had no steps. I didn't have the workbook. I didn't have the worksheets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit, or can I ask you, like, what the point of your sobriety was when you made the decision to quit drinking? Because I know you had more people around you than I did.
I'm smiling. I'm laughing because I think about the format of the podcast. It's always like, it's really funny. It always goes to the same format where you like talk and then you like pose the question to me, like, can I ask you? And I'm like, what if one day I'm like, no, you can't fucking ask me, and then I just walk out of the room?
I guess
that would just throw it all for a loop, and then come back with some cake and then be like, I'm sober for cake. But that's not the like joke
cake,
was not great. That was
Cake
a
the band
joke.
or like a sheet cake.
Yeah,
from
Cake the
Safeway.
band. Yeah, John McCree and all those guys behind me, and he's got like a
hey,
fucking.
what's up?
What's up, bro? What's up? You ready for some jock jams, bitch? Yeah. At this point, I think. Well, let me start from the beginning. Nobody told me to get sober. I think I've mentioned that in the podcast before. My wife didn't put that in ultimatum either. She was never once was like, you need to quit drinking. But what really resonates that she said to me while I was drinking was, you need to get out of that quicksand you're in, because you're in a hole, and you're like in a hole full of quicksand, and you keep sinking, and eventually I'm not going to be able to recognize you because you'll be so deep in it. So you got to figure a way out of that hole. But she was never like, you need to put down the booze, right? My mother-in-law, though, sat down with me one night, and I was out back smoking and drinking, and she told me, you need to quit fucking drinking, because because I was living out of town at the time, and Megan was in Tucson, and I was up here in Oregon, and we were kind of separate for a minute. And she was like, I hear Megan every night, crying on the phone till 3 a.m. She let me have it, man. She tanned my ass, and the whole time I'm like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And I was like drinking the entire time she was telling me this. I just was fucking pounding away. And of course, her giving me this talk made me want to drink more. And it wasn't her fault. That was my reaction to it. But no one ever asked me to do shit. In the early parts, the point was very similar to yours. I was tired of feeling like shit all the time. And it felt like maybe I could deal with my depression issues and my like suicidal ideation if I just cleared my head. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
at this point, I remember sitting down with my brother-in-law at one point and telling him if I could be drunk from the moment I woke up to the moment I passed out, like that would be an ideal world for me. Like that's how I would spend my entire life, the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And it like blew him away. Like it fucked him up. He's like, that's fucked up. And I didn't think it was fucked up. I just thought, well, isn't that the point? Like to feel good, because I feel good when I'm fucked up. Not the whole time, but I wanted that drunk feel good that I had for like 3 hours, 4 hours. I wanted it the entire day. And that's unrealistic. It doesn't work like that, But I think as time has passed now that I'm here in sobriety and recovery, the point isn't, for me, the point now is not to not drink. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't look at it and go, you don't drink. you don't drink because drinking fucks you up. The point to me now is that it's not the drinking, it's the periods of time in between the drinking. That's what made me realize I was all fucked up, and that things were wrong. Because the drinking itself, I drank alcoholically. I knew that from the beginning. I could go to 1,000 meetings and say, I always knew it. People always say it was in denial, and I was never in denial. I knew what kind of animal I was. I knew exactly what tricks I could do.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a period of time in between, like at work, like that pain, that I felt as well, but also that longing and that obsession and that desperation and that waiting, man, waiting till the time was correct for me to drink, because I still was quote unquote functional. And so those like no man's lands between like waking up and getting fucking loaded, it was like a motherfucking, it was an eternity.
Yeah.
Right. And now I don't even think about it that way. Do you know what I mean? Like I rarely get that sense of desperation. Maybe, you know what comes the closest, and this sounds awful because she's sitting in the other room, but it's when I'm trying to leave a party, or we're trying to leave a dinner or get together, and my wife lingers and keeps talking and talking and talking, and I've got all this shit gathered up in my hands, and Olive's ready to go, and we're all ready to bounce, and she just continues to engage because she's a social person and loves talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
That longing I feel to get in the car, it's very similar. This is fucked up, but it's very similar to that longing I felt. That anxiety and that edge of my seat, like ready to make the move, which is what I felt just walking around, like sober, I guess, but it wasn't sober because you know what I'm saying?
Waiting
but
for the
like
drink, waiting for that relief.
Right.
The relief of leaving the party. The relief.
Isn't that crazy? And yes. And the cliche is like my relief in a bottle, but it absolutely was. And now I don't have to, I don't want to say I'm free, because I got a lot of this shit I'm chained to, but they're not physical addictions. It's like paying bills and dealing with life and shit.
You're freer.
But I'm freer, dude. Yeah, I'm more open now. So the point to me is that, like, I may still be on a leash to an extent, but it's way longer leash. Like, it's like, I think of my dog, like, he gets out into the yard and he's got this leash and it gets tightened up on a tree. So I go and let him out and he's like, whoa, I got 20 more feet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I feel like I got another good mile on me. Like I can get out farther and go do more and think more and not have to wait. I don't have to wait anymore for that shit. I just gotta be like, Megan, hurry the fuck up, dude. I'm holding a casserole dish, dude. Our leftovers are in the dish, like, let's bounce, dude. I gotta go home and
I got a few extra calories, man. I want to enjoy another slice.
Yeah,
when we get
exactly.
Home.
Yeah.
I had a similar incident, I guess. Well, I mean, I felt the same way about drinking, where it was like, gosh, if I could only be, and I'll tell you this story, and this is somebody we both know, and I'll simply describe him as the gentleman gardener, and you'll know who I'm talking about without having to put anybody out there.
He's like one of my favorite people, too.
Yes, he's one of my favorite people, too. And I remember many, many years ago, and I think I was living in Seattle, and I'd come down for a visit, and we were cruising around, and I was in his truck, and I had one of these plastic water bottles, or maybe he did, and it was filled with either Sparks. I think I was drinking Sparks at the time, which is the original Four Loko. Because I couldn't, beer wasn't enough. I needed to be high. And I remember sitting there drinking whatever out of like this Nalgene bottle, which became a theme later on. And I'm sitting there and I'm having such a wonderful day. And I'm with all my friends who are drunk too. And we're doing all this stuff. And I just looked at him and I was like, man, I wish I could be this drunk all the time. And he looks at me and he goes, John, you can. And it was this hilarious moment at the time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now I look back on it and I go, God, it's kind of fucking dark if you look at it from 4 years sober. You know? But it was just this
that's
really
great though.
But that was my moment. That was my I just want to be like this all of the time.
It shit touches my heart a little bit that he is like offering you the keys to.
He's like, you can.
Oh man, you
and
can.
even so like maybe. And I don't know what his habits were like then, or I mean, I know we drank together, but then or now, but that sort of in my mind brings up the idea of controlled drinking, knowing exactly how many you can have. There's, like when Mr. Leahy on Trailer Park Boys gets the breathalyzer and he's like, I just have to blow to a certain point and I can know it's what I need exactly and I can be this drunk all the time. And it's a funny joke, but that's what I wanted too. I wanted to always be drunk, and I couldn't. So yeah, when you're that thing that you want so badly, and if you could just make it balance it just perfect, any time away from it, you're like, fuck, dude, really? I got to do this shit? This is
Yeah.
so painful and so
Right.
awful, and finding some kind of relief, and not just to not to mention all of the other bad things that happen because of the drinking that you then have to there's a deficit every single morning. I wake up and go, who
Yeah.
did I text? Who did I call? How much
Right.
money did I spend?
That's
What
mine. Yeah.
money? Yeah.
Yeah, just waking up with like trying to piece together my blackout night by fucking receipts from my debit. Because the minute I got a debit card, I was like, choo choo, motherfucker. Like, yeah, dude. But anyway, go ahead. I mean, interrupt
No,
you. But that was my
the,
jam.
just the. I mean, wreckage seems like it's an accurate word, but even just amount of like cleaning up my room, things like just letting laundry pile up, and like not
Right.
taking out recycle bins, and not taking out the trash, which is just down the driveway. And even though I have a pretty long driveway, it was an insurmountable chore, to the point of, fuck it, you know what, the garbage can's big enough and I didn't fill it up, so I'm just gonna let the trash sit in my
Pile
front
up.
yard for 2
Oh, yeah.
weeks. You know what I mean? And now I look at what is the point of sobriety, is that I just want to have a better life. I want to have a better life than I have now, and I have a really great life compared to what was going on 4 years ago, or even a year
Yeah.
ago, right?
Yeah.
So I had to kind of excommunicate alcohol from my life. I had to, exercise is a better word, right?
Right. Right.
The
Shake the
demon.
ghosts out. Yeah.
So I had to
smudge
shake
the
the-
motherfucker. Double sage it.
Double-
just
yes.
like some crystals. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
All that stuff. And now I can begin to, I mean, a lot of the reading I do is kind of geared around how my brain works, and wanting to know how my brain works, so that I can recognize the triggers, and I can recognize my bad patterns. And even if I give in to them, I can at the very least, which then, I mean, this is probably just alcoholic behavior on my part, but giving into a bad pattern, then feeling guilty and ashamed because I'm not good enough, or I couldn't do it, or I'm not strong enough, and so on and so forth. I feel in my mind, in my life, I do that enough times, I eventually will get the habit out, because it goes from, what do we talk about? The self-understanding, understanding yourself, and then finally asking your higher power, my higher power, to relieve me of this. So that's the point of my sobriety today, or one of them, is to understand myself as much as humanly possible, and try to be the strongest, happiest person I can be.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and it's
That's-
it's a one day at a time kind of thing, which, and again, I don't mean to hammer this home, but the more that I read about things, the more that I live in sobriety, the more that I deal with myself in recovery, it's like, this is it. This is the only moment that matters, because it's the only one that exists. And it's a big that's a big thing to try to understand. And I don't fully get it, but the sooner that I'm not wanting something from the future and not worrying about something in the past, I'm much happier to, just be sitting here talking to you.
Right. Right. It's so funny. It leads me to think like the way our brains work as far as being alcoholics, or addicts addicted to a substance, because alcoholism and addiction is the same damn thing. But it's just funny the way our brains work, because it's one of those things where I have met people who just don't drink anymore, and they drank alcoholically, and then they're like, well, I used to drink a lot and now I don't, and now I just live my life. And guys like you and me, we like just chop it up and try to figure this shit out, and like pick at it and go, why though? But why? And then why is this making a pattern in my life? Sometimes I talk to people and they're like, well, I used to drink and now I don't, and that's it, and then I wonder, like, what else do you do then? Like, what else do you do obsessively, right? Because I see the pattern repeating itself in other aspects of my life. Now the point is, I take this negative this negative cycle of behavior, and I try to flip it into something that it will be a benefit to me. You know, so even though I'm neurotic and still circle the same fucking point over and over again, maybe it's for something positive instead of for something negative, you know? Because I'm absolutely neurotic. You know me. You've spent a lot of time with me.
Yes.
I overthink. I project. I think about the future. I worry constantly. So then I'm like, well, what if I can take this detriment and turn it into my power, use my powers for good instead of evil, right?
I think here's one thing, and I've heard this before about people overthinking, and I do it as well. You instead of seeing yourself as somebody who overthinks, Jerry, try using the word analytical. Now
that's good. Here,
now there are certain things that perhaps
I'll write this down.
No, I'm serious. Yeah. Now, I you know,
that's great though.
For me, there are certain things that I should not be analytical about. And so I have to remember that your overthinking can be a superpower for the positive. It doesn't have to be to the detriment. But, you know, I just know that I need to go, okay, you're done thinking about this. Okay, you are done analyzing this. It is not doing you any more good to analyze this. Time to move on. Time to get going. What lies ahead? You got no way of knowing. I think that's Tom Petty's Wildflowers.
What is that, Tom Petty's Wildflowers?
Yes.
Well, what I guess my point was that what I'm trying to do is actually become analytical, and that's one of my that's one of the points of my sobriety is that when I took alcohol out of the equation, and then I tried to put positive forward, not even positive, but just, you know what I mean? Like constructive forward thinking into the equation and replace the alcohol with this constructive forward thinking and this realistic way of looking at life. I found that it became a little easier to use these, you know what I mean? Become more analytical. I love that word though. I'm going to use that. Next time we're arguing with Megan, I'm going to be like, yo, I'm just fucking analytical, baby. You don't know, you know, but like, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I really do think it's just, maybe I would have been a great wedding planner. Who knows, man?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you need to weaponize my amateur psychological advice.
I'm gonna though. I'm totally gonna. But yeah, I shouldn't. And listeners, don't do that. But you know, I'm gonna do it because I'm Goofus and you're Gallant.
Is that what what it is? Yeah. Gallant would be caught dead in this pineapple tank top. But
Goofus would be wearing him as pants, dude.
So the points, what is the point of sobriety? What is the point of today? Like, what do you, how do you think about the future? Do you still worry about it? Do you still like?
It's not long term. It's all short term shit. Like, fuck, when am I gonna fix that fence? Or like, fuck, I have to set up the surround sound. Or like, fuck, am I gonna make enough for rent? But I never think like, fuck, what am I gonna do 10 years from now? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've kind of been, but never really been like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's no. But you know,
I think a little bit more in longer terms than I used to, but I still am not going, well, in 5 years I'll be 47 years old. Something like that. I don't know what 47 is going to be like. I imagine it's going to be a lot like this, maybe something different.
Probably. Yeah.
But I do think about things like, okay, 2020 is coming up, and what do I want to accomplish with the next 6 months out of this year? Where do I want to be in 2020? And so it's gone from just the panic of waking up in hot flashes and hungover.
Right, like where the fuck are my pants? Oh, did I fucking pee my pants? Oh shit, I peed my pants. Yeah.
Seriously, it went from there to like, okay, so I have. My months are going by fast. The weeks are going by faster. The days are going by faster because I start organizing and planning my time, and I'm waking up earlier than I used to, and because I have more time, and I want to the feeling of feeling accomplished. Right? Did I say that right? The feeling of feeling accomplished. The feeling of accomplishment is something that's huge. So I go, okay, I've got this project. I want to finish this. I want to do this, and you know, even if it's just the art that I put up on Instagram at this point, it's just something that really brings me a lot of joy and happiness. And I get excited about finishing something, even if I don't ever want to start it, or even if I'm in the middle of it and I'm like, oh man, this is going to take forever. I mean, those paintings you do, some of them take years.
10 to 20. Yeah, some take years
But
actually.
no.
Yeah, I have a really good friend named Desi who's just hit me up. I started painting for her last year, and she's like, "I think you'll get that done by September, maybe." Or, and I'm like, "God, I hope so."
Did she put a deposit down on that thing?
Oh yeah, she did like a year ago.
Oh.
Don't commission me for art. I'm awful.
So yeah, I think that's one thing that's hugely changed, and that's something that I think about when I think about how I'm going to redirect my thinking and live my life in sobriety is this idea of the future and wanting it to be better than the past or better than today. And
Right.
I know we always go back to this. We always talk about food and calories because I feel like that to me was the that was the crutch in the corner that was biggest for me. Was
Right.
oh, I don't drink, so I'll just eat whatever I want.
Right. It's not as bad as booze. Yeah.
It's not as bad as booze, and I need it to live. So excuse me. I was at the store today and I saw big bags of cashews, and I used to just fucking eat those things, right? I'd be like, you
Yeah.
know what? I don't drink, but I'm going to get a bag of cashews. I'm going to get a couple of chocolate bars. And we were talking about the chocolate bars before. I got one today. Not a big one. It's dark chocolate.
Mid-size, a nice mid-size chocolate bar.
It's, but it's just like those. I used to gorge on stuff, and now I'm like, okay. So where do you? I think about it in terms of weight, in terms of my body, and not like I did in alcohol or with alcohol. Thinking about sobriety is my brain, my heart, my soul, also my
Right.
body, not feeling like shit, of course.
Right.
But that was just the bare minimum. I had to get the alcohol out of the way so that I could then begin to go, oh, I weigh too much. I eat like shit. I don't feel good, And
Right.
so
Yeah.
instead of walking, I walked past the beer aisle and I didn't think twice about the beer. As soon as I saw the cashews, the little thing in my brain was like, bing, that'd be good to just sit with a
Right.
big old bag of fucking cashews and eat them by the handful.
Take
So-
your shirt off and sweat into them. Fuck yeah, dude. Or just wear that tank top. It'll make it way easier.
So that's something that's changed, right? I just walked by the
Right.
beer and I was getting all
Didn't
sprung
even
on
think
some
about it.
nuts.
Isn't that funny? The old alarm went off with the new thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you've got to not tackle, but you have to manage the new thing.
I have to manage. I have to be vigilant.
Yeah, your food intake has to be managed. Drinking you can put by the wayside. You absolutely can. Even if you're so physically addicted that you have to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? Once you get it sussed out, like the physically you can put it aside, but with the food, it's like a whole other story. I mean, we talked about this last week. Like, yeah, you need it to live. Do you need a bag of cashews to live? No.
No.
Well, they'll be delicious, but
So
But-
it's just for me, it's a good analogy, right? When I'm going forward to like the next week or the next month, because
Right.
it's and milestones are for both you and I are coming up here. I
Yeah,
know
soon.
July 4th of July weekend. Jerry's on the 4th and I'm on the 6th. Our sober anniversary birthday dates are coming up, but
Yep.
and I want to be better for my 2020 than I do for my
Right.
2019 birthday and sober birthday or whatever. And so I mean that's something that I think, what is the point of me being it's continue to be sober? Like
Right.
is I just want to be a better person, and then go, okay, well, why do you want to be a better person? Well, I want to have better relationships with the people in my life. Well, why do you want to
Yeah.
have better relationships with the people in your life? Well, it just makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And I just want to be
And
happy.
it's like a constructive type of feel good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not that short-lived, like immediately feeling like shit when when you're done or whatever. Yeah, it's not that. It's very constructive.
But you don't look at like next year. You don't have
No,
a 5-year plan.
I really don't. I have no I've never had a 5-year plan though.
No.
I never have. No,
I'm not
never
saying
been
it's a
like
bad
that.
thing. I just
No, it's just me. Like it's just the way I've always just been like, how the fuck do I get through next week? I literally have been like, even sober, I'm like, what do I do to get through this week and then get on to next week? But yeah, I wish I could have been trained to have a 5-year plan, or because I think I would have solved a few things by now. Yeah,
But I mean, at least now you have the you at least have the open-mindedness to try to want to solve things if something.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see things changing even within my life. I mean, in regards to my finances, or in regards to the way I manage money, or in regards to the way I keep house. And like, absolutely, I could see myself sitting down and being like, okay, by next year, this is my goal. And I have some goals, but I've every year I'm like, this is the year I do it. And then I never fucking do it, so. But that's also, I procrastinate things.
Well, I've heard you say things to me recently where you're like, yeah, I got pretty good credit and stuff like that. And I couldn't imagine you saying that to me. And
I've never had good credit ever up until like this last 2 years,
Still.
last 4 years. Yeah. Yeah. Because I'm not drinking it all, and I'm not being like, oh, the electric bill's due. I'll fuck them. Or like, oh, they put me in collections. I'll fuck them. I'm never answering my phone again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My phone to this day, my voicemail still doesn't say my name. It's just all, hey, you reach me, you know who I am. Leave a message. I haven't changed it. I left it like when I was drinking. Because I was like, I'm not going to say my name because in the credit, people will know that it's me.
I know.
But if I'm sneaky, I could be like, ain't no Jerry here. And hang up. So I guess that anecdote is in regards to me planning things out,
Well, no, I mean it definitely is, and I mean you have a family to look after too, and I imagine that's
Right.
that's
Well, it's kind of like, and not to put it all on Megan, but like we kind of play two different parts, like that's kind of her instrument, is kind of planning, thinking forward as to what we do as a unit. Now, if she ever wises up and leaves my ass, I might be fucked, and then I'm like, fuck, I gotta like figure it out. But in the moment right now, while we're playing our in our band together, this Wagner band, I'm like, all right, you play the guitar, I'll play this instrument, we'll write the songs together, we'll figure it out,
Isn't
that's
that-
my family band. Partridge Family analogy, dude.
Did you see the latest? Did you watch the latest Chris Rock stand up?
No, yeah, I did, but I can't remember it.
Well,
Does he make that analogy?
He does actually. He says sometimes you just got to play the tambourine.
Yeah.
You know, you're not always
Yeah,
going to be
maybe
the
that's
one
where I got it
leads.
from.
You're not going to be the one singing up there up front in the middle. Sometimes you just got to play tambourine.
Yeah.
And I
think
appreciate that.
isn't the whole special called Tambourine?
Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that must have been where I got it from. Like, but yeah, I mean, it's so funny you asked me that. I feel like I'm talking to my guidance counselor now. You're like, so what's your plan? I'm like, I ain't got no fucking plan. I'm gonna die at 30, Jack. I'm done.
Right?
Like, and now I'm like 44, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't do the thing I said I was gonna do.
Well,
But I like being alive, though, so that joke kind of is weird. Even saying it, I feel untrue, because I really enjoy being alive. That's a huge part of my fucking sobriety.
Right,
I
I mean,
actually
but you-
like being alive.
you might not have said that at 25 or 26 or 27.
Fuck, no, I was just
Yeah.
like, live fast, die young, dude. I'm going to ride out here crazy. See my leather jacket? This means I'm fucking serious.
But yeah, I want to. Well, that's the thing is, I want to live and I want to get up and I get excited. You know, I have a lot of issues with sleep too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I've finally been sleeping better, which I think I can account to a couple things, which is daily exercise, which is also something I never thought would be in
That's
my
been
repertoire.
super helpful for me, dude. Yeah, exercising every day. I'm exhausted at night. It's great. It's actually, even if it's not running, if it's anything, just moving your body for like 20 minutes will help you fall asleep. Absolutely, yeah, very much so.
And
Straight
another
up.
thing is I clean my room before I go to bed. So I just put everything. It's not like immaculate, but I put everything in its place. So when I wake up, I can just look around and everything's where it needs to be, and it's not like piles of shit that I need to deal with. So I decide, I'll just go back to sleep if I don't have to get up first thing.
Right.
But just learning all these things, I would never have worried about how my bed looked or how my room looked the night before
no,
if I was drinking.
I
You've
remember
been to my
going to your house, and I used to tell you all the time, like, why don't you have a garbage can, or like, why don't you have pictures on the wall, or like, why won't you? You had that weird sectional couch that didn't fit in the whole living room, so half of it was in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, why are you doing this?
Because I didn't care. I just wanted some shit places to flop, basically.
Yeah, it's just places to flop. Yeah, while you.
I lived in a place too, the place on Nickerson. We punched holes in the wall. I tore the bathroom door off of its hinges, and it just it just propped up in the doorway for months.
Right. So if you had to take a shit, you had to pick the door up like an old school medieval shield and like snap it back into place. Mm-hmm. Peeing was fine. I was like, you guys can watch me pee all night. I don't care. You know, I'm fucked up.
But
I was a shy pooer,
There were
man.
Sharpie like drawn all over the walls and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and that was fine. That was acceptable. That was just like how we lived, man. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I remember, don't remember I wasn't proud. I was very ashamed. I felt terrible about like that kind of stuff. But I also remember feeling very helpless and not really knowing how to fix those things, how to go about doing that kind of stuff myself.
Right. Right.
Part of that was I'd never really been taught any sort of just life maintenance skills as a kid.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
also, I mean, I was too busy worried about getting fucked up. Like, where were we going
Right.
to go drink and how are we going to get down there? And
Right.
I got to get on the bus and we're going to save some money for cab fare unless I can get that all night owl ticket to get the bus ride home. And, where was the party going to be at? And where was the fun? And where was the excitement? And it's like, I don't have time. I'm not going to get up early enough to fix my bathroom door.
Nope. No, that's ridiculous. That's not. The landlord's supposed to fix it, even though I tore it off the hinges.
Right?
Plus, you know what I noticed too, and I did it as well, is like this cycle of like somebody else's fault constantly. So it always
Yes.
turns into a cycle. You're like, well, I'd fix this house up, but my roommates are slobs and they're gonna fuck the house up anyway. So why should I bother?
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when you talked about taking out the trash. You're like, well, I didn't fill the trash, so why should I take it out? And I'm like. It's now part of the cycle. I did it too. Do you know what I mean? Like so and so doesn't do their dishes, and it'd be this big fucking resentment train where I'm just like, just do the fucking dishes, and then go tell your roommate, hey, I'm not doing your dishes anymore, dude. If you can't do your dishes, like you need to figure your shit out. Like this is unacceptable.
Yeah.
But do you know what I'm saying? Though it's this cycle of always somebody else's fault for why your life is fucked up.
So I'd love to tell
like
you, yeah, a little story about yesterday, if I could. That was the thing I was going to tell you earlier. But so my car, the tire, the back right tire has been getting a slow leak in it. So it's supposed to be at like 35, and the light would come on, and I'd check it, and it'd be at like 25. So I'd fill it up. I was like, man, I really got to take this shit in. I was going to have to do it today, and I wasn't sure when or if, and I made an appointment. And so yesterday, or I should say on Saturday, I talked to the tire place. They said, come in on Sunday. We're fully booked, but if you have a few hours, bring your car in, and we'll get it to you in a few hours. So I was like, okay. And I didn't realize they're like, every single appointment is full. They've got some big sale. And so I think to myself, I'll drop it off. I'll go for a little run. It's in the next town over, right?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I know it's fucking 90 degrees. I got my stupid hat on. I got my sunglasses. I'll put a credit card in my jogging shorts, and I'll just go for a run. And when I'm tired, I'll go get, I don't know, a iced tea or a smoothie or whatever, and I'll just go wander around the town. I'll go to the bookstore, whatever. So I drop it off at like 12:30. I run for, I don't know, an hour-ish, something like that. And I don't hear back from him. And it's like 2:30, and I'm just kind of wandering around like a ghost in this town, popping into every store. At one point, I go to the grocery store and I get an apple and a couple of carrots, like a fucking horse, to go just have a little snack, And I'm sitting at the bench, and I'm eating my food, and this old Latino cowboy with a small little paper sack, sits down on the other end of the bench, and he's got a Foster's in there. He's got a big can of beer.
Nice.
And so we're just sitting there sharing the bench. We're not talking or anything like that. I think I had my headphones in, podcast, whatever. And it was just kind of an interesting dichotomy to be sitting there where I'm, again, waiting for my car, but I'm trying to eat healthy and drink my water and get some exercise. And dude's just having a beer. And I saw him later as I was wandering around the streets. And we kind of smiled at each other like, hey, good to see you again. And I think he wanted to talk to me, and I didn't engage him because he was drinking Foster's at 1:00 in the afternoon on the street. And
right. You're like, what fucking pearls of wisdom am I getting from you?
Right. So I'm just wandering around, and it's getting late, man. It's like 4:30 now, and they're supposed to close at 5. And so I go, and I go check it out. It's not ready yet. I'm like, well, shit, man, I don't know what to do here. I really don't know what to do. Like, my phone's dying, and the charger's in the car, and the car has to be on to charge the phone. So I'm like, I'm just going to sit here. And now it's like 5:30. And I said, I'm going to go to a little taco place and get some food. I get some food, phone's on like 3% or 2% or something like that. And I think to myself, like, if I was working at the tire shop all fucking day on a 90-degree day, like dirty and grimy and stuff. And one of the things that I'd heard people, well, they would come up to the desk and they'd be like, you said it was going to be done at this time. Why isn't it done? Why would you tell me to come back now? You said it would be done by 4:30 and it is 4:47. And how long is it going to take? And person after person after person. And I'm trying to be patient and I'm trying to be peaceful and I'm just trying to like wait for my car because I can't make it go any faster, right?
No.
The shit's just going to take
as long as it takes. Yeah.
But I eat my burrito and I go to the CVS because I'm like, you know what these guys need? They need a fucking 12 or a beer. And, you know, it's far be it for me to, you know, like, I know this sounds strange, but I was like, let me go do some, how can I show them that I appreciate what they're doing? And I was like, cans of Pacifico? I don't think I've ever seen yellow cans of Pacifico.
Neither have I. That's fucking rad.
So that's what I was thinking to myself. If I was still drinking, I'd go get that because I'd be like, check it out. I got some cans of Pacifico.
I'd be like, what a novelty. They're yellow. It's yellow cans.
So I bring it in. I put it on the thing. I go, hey, man, I know you had a rough day. It's been long. You're here. It's after close already, and you're still doing. I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate what you guys do. You're open on a Sunday, which is unheard of, and I'm able to get my car repaired so that I don't get into an accident or have to wait. And like, I really appreciate it. And he was like, thanks, man. And I don't know. I think, you know, the point is like blaming other people. Like there was nobody's fault. It was just my tire had a flat. Or I had a flat. I had a hole in it.
You're probably at the end of a really long line. Do you know what I mean?
I was at the end of a huge line. And I don't know, like, it just kind of occurred to me, get him some beer. And maybe that, as somebody who co-hosts a recovery alcohol podcast, that's not the thing to do. I don't know. Right. I mean, I don't know how that...
No, I don't think so, because it's not like you're making alcohol. If they're already an alcoholic, they're already an alcoholic. Plus, you don't know if they're alcoholics.
I just knew that it would be like... I was just wanted to do something like nice, you know?
Think about being a dude working in a tire shop. Yeah, you're going to want a beer, dude. Working in a tire shop sucks. Not that it's a bad job. I'm just saying it's hot and grimy and uncomfortable. It can really suck. And people are being mean to you all day. And if you drink beer, then you're stoked. I mean, the one guy who doesn't drink, he's like, fuck, man. Well, I guess it's this Monster Energy drink.
So I don't know. It just kind of occurred to me, and one of the things I always tell myself is, if there's a moment of spontaneous generosity, to just roll with it.
I think that is so rare. I don't think people do shit like that anymore. So I think it was, you know, regardless of whether it was beer or not, like, just the act in itself is just, that's cool, man. Like, I don't do shit like that. I'm gonna start doing shit like that now. Because I like it. I think that's a great idea. I think it's goodwill. Like, we're both human beings experiencing this life, you know. I can't drink this beer because I'm bad at it, you know. But like,
I'll crash my car and hurt somebody.
Yeah, I will crash this car. I will drink them all, you know. But I don't know. I think it's great. You're like reaching out to someone on just offering any type of gift, you know. As far as like you like, that's that whole service thing, right? Like, you're being put out, but you turn it on its ear because you have compassion. Like, you understand why you're being put out. Instead of being inconvenienced, you understand it.
I do understand it.
There are moments where people are inept, and you're like, what the fuck have you done? You know, I have those moments all the time, but like...
I don't think this was that. These people were working as hard as they could.
This sounds like genuine compassion. I don't think there's a lot of that in the world. I really don't. I really think we need more of that, especially in our culture, in the United States of America.
Yeah, it was almost 7:30 before I got my car back.
God damn, though. I bet you're driving home like, fuck, that sucks, though.
So, but even, or maybe it was like, it was after 7. It was almost 7:30. But they didn't charge me for my tire, Jerry.
They gave you the tire for free?
I don't know. I think they just fixed it. They just patched it up, but they didn't charge me. They didn't charge me anything.
No, they charged you a 12-pack of Pacifico.
You know what I'm saying? So, but it was just like, I don't know. I think
you're going to go back and those dudes are going to clean the car and detail it. Next time, just bring them some fucking pre-rolled joints too while you're at it, you know? Like, just come out with a new car.
But, you know, like, I just felt the feeling. I felt the need, and I thought, well, what the hell, man? Like, far be it for me to impose my particular restrictions on anybody else. What am I bringing? A 2-liter Mountain Dew? And
you know, my dad would have guys work in the yard or help him. You know, he had these guys come over and help him build a rock wall once, and they were all guys from the warehouse where he worked at. And he'd give them he'd go out and buy a half rack of beer all the time and be like, here's some Cheve, here's some beer, you know, like here while you're having lunch, have a couple beers, you know, like, yeah, I don't think it's our job to like take alcohol out of the world. It's just our job to take alcohol out of our worlds, you know, like.
Yeah. So I think one of the biggest things that I have learned is that, you know, what's the point of sobriety? What's the point of life is to build relationships, even if it's with, you know, Eric at fucking Wheelworks.
Right.
You know?
Right. You know, I you know what? I think this podcast has actually taught me something tonight, you know? And that is the point, is like kindness could also be a point of sobriety. Just being kind. Because we're all in on this shit. We all got to ride this stupid planet, you know, for however long we have to. And everybody gets, even assholes get sad and lonely and tired and sick and uncomfortable, you know?
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.